OMFG, it is time for Monday Club. What's up, everybody? I am your host, Gus Davis. Along with me, as always, is Mr. Peter Bois. Guys, this week we have an amazing show for you. We're going to be talking about stupid robbers, science versus magic, kids getting stupid, what to watch this summer, crazy stories from the road, and, of course, this week's teachable moment. Everybody, buckle up. It's time for Monday Club.
Finally, it is Monday!
Oh, I cannot tell you how hard it was to wait till Monday for this episode. I am so happy to see you, man. How you doing?
You too, bro. I am doing wonderful, but apparently there are some robbers that are not doing so wonderful.
I love when robbers get caught doing stupid stuff. I mean, we all do stupid stuff anyway, but if you're going to put yourself in the position where you're going to rob something and then you fail, it's like extra delicious because you're an asshole and you've made an asshole out of yourself. It's great.
I found this video on Mashable, a jewelry store in Malaysia. Have you watched it yet?
No, man, I'm excited.
All right. You got it up, or should I put it on your screen?
Yeah, put it on my screen, man. You got all the technology.
Cool. Yeah, all right. So this is a jewelry store in Malaysia, and this is security footage, right? And this is supposedly a smash and grab of some jewelry.
Okay.
Are you watching? There's a lot of smashing going on, right?
Right.
But there's no grabbing going on. There are these glass cases full of jewelry, those long glass cases that you stand behind and you peruse while the jeweler is on the other side going to sell you something.
Uh-huh.
And there are, I don't know, 5 robbers with these like mini sledgehammers, and they have helmets on and goggles on, and they are trying to crack this glass with all their might, and this glass is like unbreakable glass.
Curse you, invisible barrier! How dare you thwart our plans?
I don't know how long they actually tried. This video is about almost a minute of them just hacking away at this glass. Glass is breaking, but it seems like it's that windshield glass. You know how windshield glass doesn't shatter? It just, there's like film in between it, so it protects you. And they just cannot get through to the jewelry.
Dude, this is an amazing video for so many reasons. One, of course, that's an epic fail. But two, I mean, somebody convinced 4 other people to go with them on this jewelry heist. And it's like, I got it all planned out, man. I got hard hats and goggles and gloves. Like, it's just going to be great. We're going to go in, we're going to get this, and then we're going to get out. We're all going to buy yachts. It's going to be amazing. And then it's like everyone's trying so hard, and you just suck at life.
Technology has foiled your attempts at stealing.
Oh, man. So on that note, I saw one of these stupid epic fails for robbers one time. And it was the dash cam of a cop car. And so picture this, guys. It's a jewelry store or a bank or something like that. A convenience store had been robbed. And the cops pull up just as the thief is leaving the building. And the thief takes off on foot holding the loot and runs into the woods that are right next to the building. And it's dusk outside, and the cops keep pulling, they're just following along the street just with their lights looking into the woods, and finally they turn off their lights, and you can see the robber is wearing those stupid shoes that light up.
Oh my god.
So you
really?
can just see like all of these like neon lights like lighting up running through the woods, and you can hear the cops just laughing. It's like the greatest video ever.
Oh my god. So cheers, Gus, to stupid epic fails of robbers caught on video.
Cheers, my friend. Here you go.
Oh, man. So I am drinking my classic mojito today. It is a beautiful hot summer day, and I needed a refreshing mojito. Although the simple syrup I made has been sitting in my fridge for about a month now. Do you think it's safe?
Sure. Alcohol kills anything. So,
right? Okay.
Yeah.
It was in an airtight container that hasn't been open in a month. I don't know if that has anything to do with
Nah, you're fine, man.
Preserving of sugar water.
I always have the feeling that, especially if you're doing a hard alcohol with whatever you're doing, if you drop something on the floor and then put it in your mouth and chase it with some tequila, you're fine.
Yeah. All right. I'm good. If by any chance you hear a big thud, it's a mic drop, and I'm running to the bathroom to puke my brains out.
Go grab some Imodium.
Yeah.
So this week I decided I was going to branch out. I'm super excited about Monday Club this week. And so I went out and I got this. It's called Yeti. It's an Imperial Stout. And I don't know if you can see this, but it comes in this giant 1 pint
I do see
bottle.
that.
Right here. Mm-hmm. It's super good. It's like I said, it's an Imperial Stout. It's a really dark beer, but it is, I've only had 3 sips of it so far, but it's kind of like a beer milkshake and it's delicious. So yeah, yummy.
And it has a picture of the actual Bigfoot on it too, right?
Yeah. Dude, were you with us when we went to go see the actual Bigfoot costume?
No, I wasn't. You know how many times this comes up in conversation and I have to say, no, I wasn't.
What happened, man? Did you die?
I don't know.
Were you being kidnapped?
I'm going with I drank too much the night before and I had to sleep. But I have no idea.
I mean, I really think you should know by now that totally does not count as an excuse.
I know. But, okay, you should tell everybody and tell me again of everything awesome that I missed.
All right. Well, we as in our group with Baron...
Wait, pause. I heard there's a T-shirt.
There is a T-shirt, actually. Monday Club's going to have some merch. We'll put a link to the shirt for the Epic Circle on there, and you can play the game of the events that Pete was not part of because he had to sleep.
But wait, someone made a shirt with all of our names on it. A big group of our friends. But you know what's even cooler though? They made shirts of other magicians, right? And the other magicians are like great magicians, and
like David Blaine.
I kept wondering why they chose to put my name on that.
Well, I think that's shout out to Lisa De La Vega. I think that's right. With David Rangel, she is an artist, and she made some graphic tees with all of these, magicians on it. And unbeknownst to any of us, she was like, "Hey, you guys should check this out." And it's a list of the Epic Circle on there. And I like that Brushwood gets top billing. It goes all the way down.
I did look at it, and while he is the most famous of us all. I think she went with the size of the name because it's big and then it goes to middle and then it goes back out. I think it was an aesthetic decision.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, she's the artist. Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, that's not to say that Brushwood isn't on the top.
No, he should be on the top. Totally. Yeah. He should totally be on the top.
All right. So here's what happened. Before we get too far off track, there's a guy named. I don't know his actual first. I think it was Philip, but Morris is his last name, Mr. Morris, and he is the owner of one of the largest costume companies in the world.
And cigarette makers?
I don't think. No, it sounds like that, right? But he does costumes, and he has a warehouse that ships out to all of the Party Cities and the Targets and the Walmarts. Like they get all of their Halloween costumes from this ginormous warehouse. But not only is he into costumes, he's also into magic and he's into haunted houses. And so we got a chance to go tour his facility, and what he has done that is just amazing is he has automated haunted houses. So basically one person can run an entire haunted house. I think the way that he's designed it, I think there's maybe 2 people that are actually living human beings that are there, and everything else is automated. Each room is automated, and it's so well thought out that we got a tour where he would tell us, "Hey, this is the room where this and this and this are going to happen," and we would all still jump. It was insane. But part of his backstory is that he created the costume that has the classic Yeti, that outline that you see of the grainy footage, and there's a Chewbacca-looking thing loping through the woods. That was his costume that he made, and he showed a video of all of that taking place and his part in it, and then pulled out this old costume of that Bigfoot. So I've actually seen the real Bigfoot costume that was used in all of those old footages. And Pete would have been there, but he had to take a nap.
That sounds awesome. I regret that to this day that I have not seen that. And that's the famous photograph that everyone thinks is real, right? He's like in like the long grass walking from the woods.
All right, you see his head turn, and I mean, they have had documentaries trying to prove that was a real lost species. There's scientists out there that are still trying to study that.
Let me pose a question to you, Gus. Why didn't they just take a picture of the real Bigfoot?
Yo, man, I don't know, but I will tell you this. I think it's a proven fact that the better the cameras that are coming out on people's cell phones and the better technology that's come out where, everyone has 4K picture device in their pocket, the less Bigfoots and ghost sightings there have been.
Good call. I think so. I think you are right.
Yeah, man, because I don't know about you, but do you remember the disposable cameras? I know you do. When you would go on vacation and you would get, like, the underwater disposable camera from Eckerd's or Walgreens. Yeah. And yeah. Anyway, I'd get some of those back, and, I mean, if I believed in ghosts, I'm sure that I would see those things and be like, oh, shit, that's a real ghost. Look, it's a giant floating orb that's over there. And really, it was some technician who was on his smoke bake who just dropped his ashes into the photo machine, right?
I knew it was something explainable. So everybody's probably wondering how my kid is. If you listened to last week, we had kind of a short episode because I got a call from my wife saying my kid threw up all over everybody at daycare. So I had to cut it short and go rescue them from him. He's fine. I don't know what it was. He threw up. He was fine the next day. No worries. Thank you for all the letters. I really appreciate it. And then, Gus, you were moving, man. You were in the middle of a huge move. You didn't even have your office set up.
Dude, so if the audio on last week sounded crazy, I told you I was literally, not figuratively, literally in a completely empty house that minutes before we did a recording, I had the internet set up here. And so I had my laptop on the floor. I had set up a microphone system on the floor. I was in a big, empty, cavey, echoey place. And so this week, I'm sitting in a chair. I've actually got wires run the way that they're supposed to be run. There's books around me. It's great. So I'm working. We're not 100% yet, but I am actually moved in officially, and thank you guys so much. I got a couple of texts like, hey, man, sorry you have to move. And I replied to some of those, hey, you could always come down and help a brother out. It's all good.
You never text somebody if you're in the same state as them and they're moving. Otherwise, you're going to get that question.
I know. Oh, so I had a couple of people. Man, moving is such a weird thing, right? Because it's such a personal... It's so personal when you have to move. You get all of your stuff, and you just realize, I don't know if this happens to you. I mean, everybody's had to move at some point in time in their life, and I don't know if it's happened to you, but what happened to me is I started off looking around and saying, oh, this shouldn't take that long. I've only got a bed and a couch and a couple of bookshelves and a desk, and, I mean... 2 hours tops, I should be out of here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know, right? And then 3 days go by, and you start getting with like people that you are loosely connected on LinkedIn with, and you're like, hey, man, you got some time to come help me move?
Remember that time I liked your post?
Yeah, remember that? Didn't you have a truck?
It's time to repay me and help me move.
Didn't I see on Snapchat that you had a truck? Hey, man, you want to come over, have some pizza? So, yeah, man, I'm done with the move part, and we'll talk about this later on in the podcast, I'm sure, but I've got all of we remodeled the kitchen. I got all new appliances for the kitchen. I got a new dishwasher, new stove, new refrigerator, new washer dryer, and every single one of those appliances, when they were installed, did not work when we put them in. It's like I had the gas didn't turn on one of them, and one of the gas emergency shutoff valves got broken, so I had to fix that. The water, I tried to hook up the washing machine, and the water just started spraying everywhere because I had a loose valve. The original refrigerator that I bought didn't fit in the cabinet space that we had cut out for it, so had to get that returned and get a new one brought out. Like it's a huge pain in the ass, but it's getting there. We actually have I'm 90% operational right now, so it's pretty great. So again,
nice.
Guys, thanks so much for the mental support, if not the physical support.
That's awesome, man. Glad you're getting in. Yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking with us and being part of the club and telling your friends about us. We are growing at a linear rate. It's fantastic. So yeah, thanks for being part of Monday Club. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, email us, mondayclubpodcast@gmail.com. Check us out at mondayclubpodcast.com and share these episodes around to your friends and we'll grow the club.
Yeah, not only that, I want to pay a special plug in right here and right now. Guys, this is our 20th episode, which means we have, at the end of this episode, we will have doubled the lifespan of Monday Club that has ever existed. This is a special moment for us. But what's a really special moment for us is next week. Next week is our 21st episode. And, you know, what happens when you turn 21?
Go out and drink.
That's right. Next week.
And do something stupid.
Next week, we are going to be doing shots on this show to celebrate the 21st episode of Monday Club.
Wake up in someone else's house.
That's right. I need you all.
With no underwear on. I'm not describing what I did on my 21st birthday.
Vomit in the potted plant. All right. Guys, I need you to grab a friend, bring them around the Monday Club table, and next week, let us freaking party for our 21st episode. It's gonna be a big one. Pete, what's your shot of choice?
Shot of choice, like mixed shot or straight up?
Either one, man.
It's always easy to just order a shot of Jack.
Yeah, I think I do that a lot, actually. I think if I'm at the bar and people are doing shots, which happens less and less now, but if I'm at the bar and people are doing shot, it's either Jack or I can do a tequila shot pretty happily. I am done with Jaeger shots. Like, Jaeger shots are completely out for me now.
Yeah,
if
I used to do Irish car bombs like there was no tomorrow.
Remember? You know, I used to too, and then I went to an Irish bar and ordered an Irish car bomb, and they're like, "Hey, man, I mean, we'll make it for you, but you know that's a little racist." And I was like,
"It's racist?
What? What? But it's delicious." So if you ever go to an Irish bar, you know, something called Salante or something like that, I highly advise you to not get an Irish car bomb.
Oh my God, that just brought a whole lot of racist shot ideas to my head. Which I won't repeat. My go-to mix shots when people want, like, they don't want to get too trashed. Washington apple is a delicious shot to have. The kamikaze, obviously, that's always a standby. What else? That's about it. I love the Washington apple. It's delicious.
What is that?
Everyone likes it. It's I think it's pucker and crown and maybe something else. I think, but there's some whiskey in there, I think.
I'll tell you. For me, when we're at my favorite bar, which is the Tin Tavern over at the office with CJ Johnson.
Wait, you have a bar at your office?
Yeah, we do. It's literally 10 steps away from my desk.
I have been in the Tin Tavern, and I did not know your office was nearby.
Yeah. You have been at the Tin Tavern. Well, the door you passed right before you get to the bar, that's where CJ and I work.
Wow.
Yeah, it's dangerous. Anyway, my favorite shot that we do there it's Crown Apple. This
is your favorite work shot.
It's my favorite work shot. When one is at work and needs to take a shot, it's Crown Apple. So it uses Crown Apple, but it's Crown Apple is half of it, and then you fill up the rest of the shot with Fireball, and so it's a like a cinnamony shot.
Cinnamony shot?
Cinnamony shot. God damn it. It's a shot with cinnamon.
Cinnamony. Cinnamon.
Oh my God, this show has already derailed itself so hard. All right, whatever.
You've been drinking before, huh?
It's Crown Apple. Anyway, so yeah, that's a Crown Apple is with a little bit of that Fireball in there is really, really good. So guys, check that out too.
All right, we will. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we have a question. I have a question for you. This goes towards our magic roots, and we like science. And this is a question to ponder. Does science and tech make magic more or less amazing to you, Gus?
Okay, so I was thinking about this. I think you and I had been both batted this idea back and forth over the last couple of weeks. And here's the thing. And Pete, I'm speaking directly to you as far as you doing shows, okay? For me, when I do a corporate show or I do a show for a group of adults, right? What I've found is that there are two types of people. There's the type of person that really enjoys the fun and fascination of magic and will just sit back and laugh and relax and enjoy their experience. And then you have the engineers, like the people who are either literally engineers or the people who are their mind works like an engineer. And the engineers can be jerks at first because they have that, well, I can, here's how you probably did it, and their mind works in a way that works the problem backwards until they have a solution. But if you can fool an engineer, if somebody who's like really like, oh, I'm going to see how you did it, and you really fool them, that's the best reaction you can possibly get, because those are the people whose brain literally melts when you do a trick. Have you had that experience?
Totally. I find that my best corporate audiences are, in fact, scientists. I've done shows for like biologists and chemists, engineers, and they are probably the smarter of the people I perform for, technically speaking, book smart, and they... Once you kind of, like you said, do something that blows their mind, they're the best audience in the world, because you would think that they would be mad about it because they think they're smart and they think like they understand the world more than anybody else, but they appreciate it more because they understand not knowing, and they're okay with it. They're okay with not knowing because they know they could find out. There is an answer, but they're okay with not knowing. They appreciate not being able to figure it out.
Yeah, I think that's partly true. I think the other side of it is that they are not used to that experience of not understanding how something works. I think that there's something truly magical about that experience of, because if you're stupid and everything is amazing to you, then if somebody makes somebody float, you're like, well, shit, I don't know how that works. That's amazing. Of course, I don't know how my car drives either, so that's amazing too. You know?
I always find the smarter the people, the better the audience, actually.
Yeah, I think so too. They're the harder to get on your side, because I think dumb people are easier to get on your side. You can walk out there and make some fart jokes, and people just laugh and high five and think that, hey, this is fun. But as far as fooling somebody, I think if you have a really, really intelligent audience, that's the group of people that, man, once you really burn them, once you've gotten a trick in that really, really fools them, then it doesn't matter what you do. They will come up after the show and be like, look, man, I know how astrophysics works, and I don't have a clue how that card ended up in that apple. Like, I just have no idea. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They really, really appreciate it. Like for kids, because they don't really understand the world yet, especially the younger they get, they are, like you said, everything is amazing to them. They're not stupid. They just don't know yet. They're growing and learning things as they go. So I find kid audiences or audiences with children in them, those are the hardest people to fool. Again, we've talked about this before, because they'll come up with crazy ideas as to how you did it. Well, you see, you had a card that actually disappears and reappears into an apple. That's how you got the card in the apple.
Yeah, you even told us that's how you did it, so it's not really that amazing. Yeah. Stupid head. Yeah.
But do you think that science and like flat screens and iPads and iPhones make it less amazing for people to watch magic? Let me give you an example. Whenever I see a performer do anything with adding numbers in a magic show or mentalism show, right? I automatically think this is a math trick, because there are plenty of math principles and stuff I don't know about, but I know it's a math trick, right? I know I'm going to add this and divide it and plus and this, and I can appreciate it and find it cool, but it's not magic. It doesn't feel like magic to me, because I know it's a math trick that I just don't understand the principle. So a lot of people might be watching magic, and if you use props that are technology based, they might think, oh, that's just, there's a hidden iPad in there or an iPhone or I don't know, something that some other tech that they don't really know about yet, or they can just attribute it to some sort of tech that they read about on Facebook or whatever, or that's even out now. So they might be more likely to attribute it to tech, especially if you use props that are tech-based. Yeah, what do you think?
Okay, I'm going to try to do this because what you said is absolutely true. I think that two thoughts. First one is that you talked about a math trick, and you and I are on the same spot. I think our ideas of magic are very similar, and our thought processes are very similar. Because
that's why we're on a T-shirt.
Right, exactly. I think that when I see a magic trick that uses math, my brain zones out, and when the numbers are all revealed to be the same thing that's on the card that somebody flips over that they had in their hand the whole time, everyone applauds, and I think, that's crazy. I sure as shit don't understand any kind of calculus or trigonometry or I was terrible at math in school. And so I'm like, wow, numbers are still magic to me. Yay! But it's not amazing. Whereas somebody who actually knows math, I think that trick is a little bit more fooling for somebody. Now, we could debate if it's entertaining or not. but I think that it is, for somebody who knows math, that is more fooling because that's in their comfort zone. For me, it's not just the younger audiences that everything's magic for. Sure, they get a pass because, yeah, if you say, hey, look, the shadow moves the coin from this side to this side, then what they think is, well, I didn't know that shadows could move things. I didn't know that, but, there's lots I don't know, so that's not amazing. For me, what I'm coming up against a lot is that I think that the generation, the teenage generation right now, the 13s through 19-year-olds right now, are in a weird spot where technology can do so much that things aren't as amazing. Do you remember when the iPhone first came out and all of these iPhone magic tricks got released? You could buy them online in the App Store, and there were all these iPhone or iPad magic tricks that were, you'd flip it over one way and a card would be revealed, or you'd flip it over the other way, and when when that first came out, that was freaking magic to people. But now, if you try to do that same trick, no one's going to be fooled at all. And that same idea is kind of carried on to so many other things, right? I think that's why now the kind of magic that really fools people is the kind of magic that uses nothing with technology. It's like, if you can use a rope or a dollar bill or a coin or something that is based in just full-on solidness, I think that gets a much better reaction than when you do things with big video screens and anything that the answer could possibly be technology. I think those get discounted, even if you don't use a technology trick. Yeah. I think that those get discounted.
I totally agree, and that's one reason why I stick to such simple or common props, because I don't want people to think it's technology. Anytime anyone pulls out a cell phone, even if they're doing like sleight of hand with a cell phone or something, it's not amazing. Like, you're pulling stuff out of the cell phone, like there's a card in the cell phone and you pull it out and then it becomes real. I mean, it looks cool. It's just doesn't give me that same feeling as if I found their signed card inside an apple that I had to open up, going back to that example. Oh, did you know that they retroactively created a new generation?
What do you mean?
They went back and realized there's the millennials and then Generation X, right? And in between those generations, there's people, us, born like 1977 or 1978 to 1985-ish, or something like that, that grew up without technology and then but is familiar enough to accept it and be part of technology. So we still understand what it's like to live without a cell phone, right? The generation before us has no idea. We can appreciate that there's this freaking supercomputer in our pocket. The generation now is just like, oh, Snapchat, that's normal. We're like, oh my God, we can put filters on faces, you know?
That's right. That's right. I had a pager, so yeah.
Yeah. So we understand both worlds, but we're not old enough where we're like, don't understand it. Like our parents are like, what the hell is this? I don't know how to use this, you know? But we weren't born with it, so it's not normal to us. We're that in between that appreciates both sides of the coin when we didn't have this crazy technology and now, but we use this technology and can appreciate it and understand that it wasn't always there.
Yeah, so a quick side story to all that. I remember I was on the road. My son was, I'm going to say he was a year old, maybe less, but he was definitely still in a crib. And I was on tour. I had just gotten iPhones, right? And FaceTime had just come out. And he had gotten put to bed, and I had just finished a show, and I went back into the green room, and I tried FaceTime for the first time, and I called, and my picture came up, and my wife held the phone over the crib, and Bryce, who's 1 year old, still definitely a baby, looks up and sees a picture of me and smiles. And I start moving and interacting with them. I'm like, hi, you know, waving my hands and talking to him. And I could see total comprehension in his face that is like, oh, my dad's shrunk down onto this tiny screen. Okay, well, you know, and he starts laughing and like reaching up for hugs and stuff like that. But my point is that he has never in his entire conscious life lived in a world where you don't have the ability to do that, to have two people communicate face-to-face like that. And for our generation, you and I think that we still get, when I see a piece of tech, even if I know it's a stupid iPhone trick, I still think it's amazing. But I think that anybody who's behind us as far as age is concerned, I think they see something, and that's not amazing. That's just how the world works. In fact, if you put a filter on it, you can make it where you have big eyes, or their card is just floating behind them. That's not amazing. That's just normal filter shit. And so there's that weird gap, and because there's that not gap, I'd say cognitive dissonance, and because there's that dissonance right there, what you also get is when you do have somebody that performs a magic trick and it is an impossible magic trick, you have, especially for that generation, you have a weird space where you have to overcome their just discounting everything you did that had nothing to do with technology, being answered by, well, I mean, you know, it could have been technology, and then just discounting everything you did.
Yeah. Do you think, here's a bigger question, and I struggle with this. I don't even know if I have an answer for this. Do you think the next generation kids, whatever, are becoming dumber than because of technology? Because I feel like thinking isn't happening as much, but there a certain type of thinking. I think creativeness is still happening, I think, but a certain type of thought isn't happening because all the information, society's collective consciousness is the internet, right? So you can be able to get any information anytime they want, and when you can't get it, it's very frustrating, you know, which is far and few between. But there seems to be a certain type of thought that isn't happening anymore, and some people think, you know, it's making kids dumber, but I'm not sure. I just think it's changing how people think. I don't know if it's good or bad, but
no, I think this is the struggles between the generation gap, and I think this is a bigger issue. I can't believe we're getting into actual debate like this, but
Monday Club gets serious.
Monday Club gets serious, guys. Sorry, grab a beer. I think that this is a big issue. We're using magic as our lens for this, but I think that the bigger issue is assuming the world doesn't blow up, and I'm an optimist. I'm going to assume the world doesn't blow up. Assuming the world doesn't blow up, the point of technology that we are all headed towards is a point of technology where the machines, the robots, the pieces of equipment that are in your pocket, all of those things can do everything for you, okay? And so and take over all the jobs that are out there that do normal things. And so the question is, what do humans do? I mean, is the point of school now just to learn how to fix the robots that make everything work? Or is the point of school to teach you how to be a creative thinker so that because you have all of your other stuff taken care of for you, because you have access to all knowledge that you would ever need to know, your job is to come up with something new? Like, what is our purpose? And because of that, that's what kids are working. That's what younger generations than us are working on. They're working on figuring out what space they can occupy when the technical aspects is already taken care of for you. Your phone takes care of so much for you now, right? And you don't have to remember people's phone numbers. You don't have to remember math. You don't have to, if you have a question, you can just Google it. You don't, shit, man. I've been setting up my house, and I have literally saved $1,000 easy on not hiring plumbers or electricians or painters or anything like that to come over to my house. Instead, what I do is I YouTube that shit, and boom, I've got it figured out, right?
Yeah, it's the collective consciousness, right? It's
yeah.
all up on YouTube. Everyone, you can find out anything you want. But
my point is that saying, oh, kids are, the younger generation's just getting stupid because they have everything handed to them isn't fair. It's like, that's not really a fair thing to say. I think it's a gap, right? Like, there's a gap between us, who still has to figure out how the world works through our perspective, versus them, who everything has been figured out for them. So now they have to figure out how they can still be productive members of society.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on a side on this. I'm gonna make a stand. I think it's going to make future generations, if not this generation, much smarter than us, because there's only a certain amount of brain space that you can think about things, right? Say you have 100% capacity. Now, when we didn't have grocery stores, right, we had to hunt our food and gather our food. So that was taking up 90% of our brain capacity, right? With 10 being like, I don't know, play rock chess in the cave or something. I don't know.
Right.
So, and now as things have changed, we have grocery stores, and we have to think about your job and what you do, and that takes up our brain space. So we don't have to worry so much about where our food's coming from if you have a job and can purchase food. And so that opens up our brain space to do things like art and leisurely pursuits, per se, or do things that aren't necessarily essential to survival. Like, I don't do anything besides put food in my mouth and water in my mouth that is essential to my survival on a daily basis, except work to make money, to keep the bills paid. But you know what I mean? It allows us to have more space to experiment in our brains by not having to think about certain things.
Dude, absolutely. I'm 100% with you. And this is going to be the struggles of the generation behind us, is to figure out how to deal with that, right? You don't have to hunt for your food. You don't have to, all you have to do is have enough means to get the technology or the things that make life to you, and then once you've done that, you don't have to do anything else. The rest of it is how you're going to live your life. So, again, man, I think this is our most intense soapboxy Monday Club. But so I was reading an article not too long ago, and the article was about self-driving cars. And Pete, do you know what group is mostly lobbying and throwing millions of dollars against self-driving cars?
Either the taxi industry or the truck driver industry.
Nope. The police officers. Police force.
Huh. Oh, because they can't give tickets anymore.
Because they can't give tickets anymore.
Rules.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
And that blew my mind, because here you have what, in my brain, because of the generation I grew up in, if a police officer is supposed to serve and protect, right? And so here's a piece of technology.
Yeah, they serve you a piece of paper.
Right. Here's a piece of right. Here's a piece of technology that's coming down the pipe that will make it where everyone who has a self-driving car is 100% safe. They're always following the speed limit. They're following safe distances. They are literally programmed to follow all of the regulations.
No drunk driving. No
drunk
texting
driving. No texting and driving. Nothing. And because of that, what that means is, if that came to pass, it would mean that there are 0 tickets that are handed out. Now, there are some towns, and I know you know this in small towns in Maine, but same thing in Texas. There are some towns that quite literally survive on the revenue stream that the police force gets in through speed traps.
Wow.
And if those disappear, jobs are going to disappear, and community structures are going to disappear. And man,
let's just put a toll in and make it honest.
But see, that's exactly what we're talking about, right? Somebody has to figure out what that means now, because nothing is going to stop the progress of technology aside from the world catching on fire. But nothing, short of that, nothing is going to stop the progress of technology. So somebody out there has to figure out, okay, well, if we lose half of the police force because we can't afford to pay them, how do we flip that so that people actually have jobs? Okay, well, maybe, yes, we've incorporated self-driving cars, but now every road is a toll road. So that makes up that revenue stream. Like that's the job of the younger generation, where everything has been taken care of for you. You don't even have to get a driver's license. You just have to pay for your self-driving car. The flip side of that is you're going to have to literally pay to drive down the road, because the towns can't afford for you to have your self-driving car without paying them something. Anyway, I think that's another lens to look at this exact same problem of, are they getting stupider? Like, it's easy to look at somebody who's never learned how to drive because they have a self-driving car and be like, God, you guys are dumb, right? Like, y'all are so dumb. Y'all, in my day, we had to pass like a driving test, and I remember being 16 and going to driving school. Look at you and your crappy ass having a BMW that drives itself when you're 16. Everything's been handed to you with your silver spoon. Like, it's easy to say that when you're at a certain perspective. But from their perspective, it's like, yeah, how many people died because you were driving irresponsibly? Like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to.
Yeah, every generation does that, right? Every generation does that to the generation before.
Right, yeah.
It's like, I used to have to walk to school. Oh, I used to have to ride my horse to school. Oh, like
there wasn't even a school when I was
But by doing this for the future, the next generation, it's going to free them up. Imagine, like, I'm just thinking, like, I've been driving all week to shows, and, I've had 8-hour drives every day this week, and my ass is really sore. But imagine if I could have a self-driving car, and I could, like, work in the car, right? I could edit video. I could practice card tricks, I could get so much better, which kind of takes me to the magic version of this argument. There's a big kind of old school movement that everyone hates YouTube because it's making magic secrets readily available to everybody. But the thing is especially like sleight of hand tricks. And when we were learning magic, we had to scour bookshelves and libraries, and information was really hard to come by. So when you found it, it felt really valuable to you. That is going away because information is so easy to come by. So, but you know what the end result is? The kids doing magic now, they're so much fucking better than I was.
Oh my God, that's absolutely true.
They don't have to spend time looking for this information. They can spend time practicing and actually doing it, rather than where do I find this trick?
Dude, you nailed it, man. Like, that is absolutely true. The younger generations are so much better, and it's because they have access to so much information. I want to say this story on our friend Nate Staniforth, and I say this story in all love, and also he told me this story, and if we need to retract it later on, we're going to have him as a guest and we can clear it up. But the story he told me was that before he went to NACA, he grew up in a small town in Iowa. And for those of you who don't know, Nate Staniforth is now just a badass in the world of magic. He's had a couple of TV specials. He's just a badass. Check him out. Anyway, he's on the t-shirt. Anyway, he came to this conference, and came in as a magician, and came in as a magician who had studied all of the books, right? Like, gotten these books that are hundreds and hundreds of dollars because they're the special secret books, and learned how to do magic. And he came into this conference in a world with other magicians and had never really seen other magicians perform. And because of that, when he was performing, he thought, oh, well, I'm doing an amazing magic show. Like, this is the epitome. I've got all the secrets. And then he sees other people perform, and all these tricks that people are doing are blowing him away because he's never seen them before. He's just never had access to those tricks or that information. And so it was mind-boggling to him. It was really opening to him to see so many different types of performers that he'd never seen before. And I say that story because the same thing's true on the flip side for the younger generation. What they get to do is they get to see, I mean, if you Google, you couldn't possibly get to the end of the list of magic that is on YouTube, right? And so what they have is the access to all of these different tricks, and they can pick and choose the best ones that work for them or the things they think are awesome, and see the things that they think suck, and put together something that is mind-blowing, years ahead of everybody else who had to, has two books that they scoured through for years and tried to make something work out of those two books. Anyway, I think this is really the point, right? Of are they getting stupider? No, I don't think that they're getting stupider, and I just think it's a completely different perspective. They start off with all of the information, and their job is to figure out how to take that and use it. Whereas we spent our entire life gathering the information, and now it's uncomfortable to have someone have access to everything that took a lifetime for us to gather.
Yeah, I think we can conclude this discussion with just saying, Gus, these kids are going to put us out of business.
Cheers to that, man.
Cheers, man. And that takes us to... Hey, it's time for Stories from the Road. So I've been on the road doing magic shows all week, doing like summer camps and doing my show at the Colony Hotel in Kennebunkport, Maine, and I've been driving a ton and my ass is tired. Like I said, just want to stand up. It hurts. I need to do some yoga or something. But last weekend I went to my wife's 20th class reunion. And,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, class reunion. It wasn't mine. So I didn't have any of that weird, awkward, need to compare my life to yours, feeling. I was the awkward guy standing there silently drinking Jameson all night. You ever go to someone else's class reunion?
I've been once, and it was terrible. It was... those 1980s movies that have the awkward dance with the balloons and the jock that is still a jock and the drug dealer that was still a drug dealer at the 23, like, that's all true. That's how my experience was.
I have never been to my own reunion. They had a 10-year reunion. They had a 15-year. I was actually asked to perform magic at my 15-year reunion, and I was going to do it because I thought that would make a good story, but that was canceled due to lack of funding. But I'm kind of glad it canceled. I don't know if I would do that now.
Oh, dude, I would totally do magic at my class reunion. I mean, that's epic. That's epic.
But I felt for the most part, the 20th, at least from my outsider's point of view, there wasn't so much of this comparing lives. It was everyone, or a lot of people either had adult kids or small kids, and everyone was just kind of like, okay, like no matter where you were in life, whether you were still, whatever, working at 7-Eleven or you're a doctor, everyone was just kind of like, okay, good to see you. It was like most, I would say the vast majority of people were just kind of okay, realizing that, life is life, and, not to get too caught up in showboating and ego.
Okay, so my two questions are, did anyone show up in a limo?
Not that I know of.
Okay, all right.
Someone showed up in a kilt.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
all right. Make a splash at the reunion. Cool. I've heard crazy stories of people showing up in helicopters or showing up in limos or stuff like that to their high school reunion. It's like, you guys are tools.
So they went in debt like
Yeah, that's
20
right.
grand for a helicopter.
That's right. All right. And question 2 is, and you don't have to answer on air. You don't have to answer. But did you run into any ex-boyfriends ex-high school boyfriends?
That's a good question. I don't know if I don't even think I ever even asked. Like, I don't know if they were there. That's not something I asked.
Oh man, see, you and I are different people. I show up to, I'm like, all right, who was the cool kid? Who was the nerd? Awesome. Who's the captain of the football team? Cool. Who did you date? Oh, that guy? Really? Yeah.
Now that I think about it, it was kind of awkward. She was making out with some dude in the corner for 10 minutes, but I just thought it was because they were good friends. But
Yeah, for old time's sake.
no, I don't even know. Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Well, I'm sorry to put that seed in your head, bros.
I definitely got my drinking on, man, though. I like I said, I was standing there awkward, silently, and people, I think, were saying, "Who's that guy?" You know, like, "Who's that?" Like, awkward guy standing there.
I think he's a magician. What instrument does he play? No.
That's my opening line to my show now. That's my new joke. And yeah, so I don't know. I had 5, 6 Jamesons and gingers, and then like 2 or 3 beers, and it kind of made all the awkwardness kind of go away.
Cool. Did they have a cover band that played, or was it what they do?
No, they had a DJ, and the DJ was like playing all 80s and 90s music, mostly 80s music, weirdly, but they didn't graduate in the 80s. He was trying to get people to dance and stuff, and everybody's just kind of like, no one is dancing. It's not a club. Everyone's just drinking and talking, and he's trying to get everybody to dance, and then he goes up to my wife. Was part of the planning committee for it, so she was responsible for money. So he goes up to her like midway through the night, and he's like, usually I get paid before the evening starts, and she's like, no. We can pay you afterwards. And he just kind of goes away. It was an awkward moment for him.
Wow.
You ever stop your show and you say, "Hey, normally I get paid before the show starts"?
All the time. Yeah, no, all the time. I usually I'm real good at standing in awkward silences. So I usually just on the microphone about halfway through the show, stop the show and like, "Hey, so which one of you has the check?" Yeah? I mean, if you could just bring it downstage, that would be cool.
That'd be great. I'll pocket it now in case I end early. Leave.
You could just deposit it through Wells Fargo. Just take a picture of one side.
Man, I have the Monday Club hangover cure and preventer. I don't know if I've mentioned this. I don't know if I've mentioned this on Monday Club before, but years ago, I was drinking with friends that had kids already, and they introduced me to a product known as Pedialyte. And this is a massive amount of electrolytes packed into a bottle for children. Usually, if they have lots of diarrhea or they're puking a lot, they need to be hydrated. You give them a little bit of this, and it really helps them not die. But they could repackage this. They could put another label on it and just say hangover cure, because if you drink a bottle of this, no matter short of alcohol poisoning, no matter how much you drink, if you drink a bottle of this before you go to sleep, you're going to wake up without a hangover. You're going to feel as great as you can feel, and you may be a little tired, but no hangover. And I highly recommend, if you plan on having more than 3 drinks, have Pedialyte in your liquor cabinet.
You hear that, Pedialyte? We gave you the Monday Club bump, so if you want to sponsor the show, you are more than welcome to. That PayPal address is mondayclub@gmail.com. So there you go, Pedialyte.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't have a hangover.
Well, cool,
what have you
man.
been up to, man?
That sounds like
fun. You
fun.
been on the road?
Dude, I have been not only moving, not only being my own electrician and plumber and moving service, but yeah, I've been pretty busy on the road. So this last week, I've had a couple of weird experiences. The first one is that we have been at this one school for their summer orientation. I think I've talked about this earlier on the show, but for 14 years. We just wrapped our end of our 14 years going to the same school. And that's amazing, but this year everyone quit. like the very last of the show, like from stage manager to the people who are on the orientation board to like everyone quit. And so it's been super weird because I know that next year whoever's in charge will have never seen me, never seen the show or anything like that. And so for the first time I feel like that 14 years is in jeopardy, it's a little sad. But so
yeah, I've had that happen before. That sucks. You gotta.
It does, man. And then next year we got to start over, like wowing them, and it's like that's awful because usually when you have something that's lasted that long, you're like a piece of furniture. You just know that's gonna happen. They leave you alone. They go into the other room and let you do your thing. Anyway,
you can't fall back on past successes. Like
no,
this show they didn't really react that great to that trick. But remember 2 years ago when they left the room screaming.
I was killing with that last year. Oh, you don't know? Okay, great. Yeah. So anyway, that happened, and immediately following that show, the next day, James and I actually went to a country club. We got hired to do. We have a 9-hole mini golf course that we do, and we got hired by this country club to come and set it up. Now, I want to be very clear. That was the scope of work. Was that we got hired to set up a mini golf course that we provide. That's usually what we do. When we go to colleges, we set up a mini golf course. We make sure every once in a while that all the clubs and balls are put away, but for the most part, it just runs itself. Well, we show up at this country club, and it's for, I don't want to say what group, because, they might find this podcast somehow, but let's say for a very wealthy oil person's field of work, okay? People in the oil industry. They are...
ExxonMobil.
They have rented out this entire country club
BP.
To have their party.
Chevron.
And they have rented out this entire country club to have this party. We're in the ballroom. We've set up the mini golf course, and we're about to leave. And right as our time starts, like these babies, like these 2-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 6-year-olds just start flooding this ballroom, grabbing all of our equipment. Like some of the 2-year-olds who can barely walk are putting quite literally putting golf balls in their mouth and running around. And we're like, what the hell is happening? Well, we find out that at this event, what they've done is all of the rich adults are outside at these white linen tablecloth tables, like tables set for 8, having catered dinner with an open bar and a band up on stage and just white glove service and all of this happening outside. And the ballroom, they have wristbands for all of the kids, and the kids are just getting dropped off in the ballroom to come and tear all of our shit up for 4 hours, completely unsupervised by any adult.
What? They did not even hire people to supervise their children.
Not at all.
They didn't have a slew of au pairs coming in.
Wait. Funny story. So the first 2 hours are James and I running around like this is not our job. Like our job is not to babysit 200 kids here. But our job is to protect our equipment, and you're knocking over all of our props. Like you need to stop doing that. You can't sword fight with our golf clubs. Anyway, so we're doing all this stuff, and I'm super pissed. I'm like, that is clearly not in my contract to take care of all these kids for you. And so I go out, and I'm pretty pissed, and I look, and they do hire an umpire service. They hire all of these little girls that are like 19, 20, 21 years old to come in and actually babysit. And so they walk in at about the 2-hour mark. They walk in, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, we were busy with the other group of kids that are on the other side of the property. Here, we'll help. And so literally we had to babysit while all of these just super, super, super rich plastic fake ass people are on the green lawn with covered lights floating down at night, doing their white glove service, open bar, getting hammered. Parents are outside, and it was an awkward experience. It was really, really awkward.
That sucks.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, that sucks, man. I feel for you. I've been put in the corner before and been, the implication was, here, babysit my kid for an hour while I go drink at the bar. It's like, no,
that's not
this
my
is not
job.
a babysitting service. You cannot ruin my shit.
That's right, man. So anyway, man. I don't care if we lose this show. Screw those guys.
Well, let's teach some people some shit.
Teachable moments.
All right, I am going to teach you guys how to stay limber and loose and amazing at home and on the road especially. Now, I mentioned I've been driving a ton this week, and I have an amazing new car that's really comfortable, but still sitting in that position, your ass gets tired, your legs fall asleep, everything, all your muscles get tight, and today I'm like walking around like an 80-year-old man. Everything's just off. So I foam roll. If you've never foam rolled before, I highly recommend it. It's a self-massage for any muscle you have. It's a long cylinder made out of foam, and you can put whatever muscle you want on top of it and just roll it over it. And then you can find the knots and the little pressure trigger points in your muscles and just kind of work it out, and it really helps loosen up your body. The only problem I have is that traveling with one is a pain in the ass. I did find a nice travel small one that I put in my bag now, but today, because Facebook is amazing and it's inside my brain, there was an ad that popped up on Facebook from brazenlife.com, and there is a brand new traveling foam roller that folds flat. A foam roller that folds flat that you can pack in your bag, and I immediately bought it, and it should be in my house soon. So I'm going to leave a link to this in the show notes, and if you need a foam roller to travel with, this looks amazing, and it will help you stay alive after sitting for 12 hours on a plane.
Dude, so I used to travel with a racquetball. One of those little tiny blue balls. You know what I'm talking about?
I travel with those all the time.
I hear you, man. Anyway, I used to travel with one of those because instead of taking the entire foam roller thing, you can just lay on your back and work it in on your shoulder, or put your foot down on top of it and roll it around, and it hits all those trigger points, and you get all the crunchies and stuff like that inside your foot. Anyway, yeah, foam rolling is great. It is super painful. You got to have a real conversation with yourself when you're doing foam rolling. Is it really worth it? I mean, it will be, but
oh, it's totally worth it. When I go for massages, I went for a massage last week because I was so tied up in knots, and I was just like, I told the woman, press as hard as you possibly can. If I scream, then maybe back off a little, but unless I'm screaming, you're not pressing hard enough.
Dude, 3 weeks ago, I was in the same situation. My whole body hurt, and I went to this place that they walk on your back. Like, they have the bars and stuff that they hold on to, and they walk on your back. Holy crap tacos, that was amazing. And this chick jumped up on top of me, and she just used her toes to massage me. And when it would start, when you get those little pops and crinkles, she would just take her toe and dig it in under the muscles. And holy crap, that was awesome.
You must have felt amazing afterwards. Just so loose.
I did. I did. And then I went and smoked a cigar because that was pretty baller.
Oh, gosh, you need to take me there next time I'm in town.
Done. All right, so here's my teachable moment. My teachable moment is this. Every single one of you, go out right now and buy a Nest thermostat, okay? Nest thermostat, if you want to sponsor us, we wouldn't mind here at Monday Club. Listen, your product is freaking amazing. It by head and shoulders above any other product that I have ever bought in my entire life. It is one of those products that has been thought through from start to finish, from branding, from packaging, from what's inside the package, from the video support that you guys offer. You made me feel like I was an electrician, and you did it in the paint by numbers way, where it's like, if you have a green wire, put the green sticker on it and then plug it into the spot that says green. I mean, it was amazing. It's so amazing that the backing of it that you screw into your wall even comes with a little tiny level built into the backing so that you know that you got the back plate straight. And for those of you who don't know what a Nest is, for the thermostat, it connects to your Wi-Fi. I can lay in bed and change the temperature that's in my house just with the app that comes with it. I can see if the air conditioning is on or off at my house, no matter where I am in this United States. In fact, my local city, the city of Austin, offers rebates for having this product in my house because I can make sure that when I'm not home, it goes up to like 85, but on my way home, it will start cooling the house. It learns your patterns. It has a motion sensor, so if you're home, it will keep it cooler. If it can keep it cool, it's like a smart device, so if it can keep it cooler by just running the fan and not running the AC, it'll do that. Like, it's freaking amazing. So, Nest, you win. You win the product of the year for me.
Nice, man. Well, foam rollers and Nest. I guess we'll leave links to those in the show notes. So that was Monday Club.
Hey, guys. Thanks for playing. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. If you had a good time, go ahead and just give us some love on the iTunes. You can find us at MondayClubPodcast.com. You can find us at www.facebook.com/MondayClubPodcast. You can find us at Twitter at MondayClubPod. And, of course, you can find us on our email, MondayClubPodcast@gmail.com. That MondayClubPodcast@gmail.com is also where you can buy us a drink through PayPal. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We want to give a huge shout out to our sound engineer, Mr. James Caldwell, working super hard for us. And also, music credits go to Zach Holder. And, of course, all of you for listening to Monday Club. Happy week, everybody.